The girl who initially accused my brother and I of human trafficking 3.5 years ago has just admitted to DCAW that she was paid in advance before she made the police report, $100,000 to make the report, and the money came from a USAID-funded NGO.
Guys, we got to have a discussion here today. Emergency meeting. Andrew Tate just released a little bit of information on his Twitter that we need to go over. Ever since we saw Andrew Tate from the past couple of years, say 4 or so years ago, he's always talked about the Matrix, the puppeteers and the puppet strings and who's controlling what. And a lot of his platform has been about uncovering the truth and removing the Matrix wool over people's eyes, while also talking about masculinity shit, red flags and women, like all these different things. But he's always done so in a manner to maintain his innocence from the allegations against him. Okay. You don't remember, or you've been living under a rock. He had allegations of trafficking. They sent him to jail for, I think it was like 4 or 5 months or something like that. He's been out for, I believe, a little over a year now, but it has significantly hampered his life. He was removed all over social media from having different accounts and platforms. The only place that I've seen him consistently able to do his own content is on Twitter. And he just dropped this massive bomb. So let's just get down up in here. Again, this is directly from his Twitter. Let me make this full screen. Actually, this view looks a lot better. Let's go.
The girl who initially accused my brother and I of human trafficking 3.5 years ago has just admitted to DCAW that she was paid in advance before she made the police report, $100,000 to make the report, and the money came from a USAID-funded NGO designed to combat human trafficking. Why would you pay somebody before they make a police report $100,000 to combat human trafficking unless you were actually trying to set us up? She then admits that after she took the money, she flew here, made the police report, and after only 3 days in Romania, she was flown to the south of France. The flights, hotels, and budget for her stay there was all paid for by the same NGO. And we have the fucking paperwork.
Whoa.
The girl who initially accused...
Let's pause on the track real quick. If this is true, and I want to go through whatever paperwork that he's talking about, hopefully before he even made this, he posted that paperwork somewhere on websites that can be easily accessed. But if this is true, this is so damn crazy and perfectly demonstrates this matrix that Andrew has always maintained. Let's listen one more time and talk about each of the points.
The girl who initially accused my brother and I of human trafficking 3.5 years ago has just admitted to DCAW that she was paid in advance before she made the police report, $100,000 to make the report, and the money came from a USAID-funded NGO designed to combat human trafficking.
Again, if he has the paperwork of her admitting all of this, then that is a damn bombshell. A couple questions that I have initially is not only who is this NGO organization, but then also what would make her, I guess, accepted at first and then 3.5 years later just snitch it all away. This right here is the government funded NGO. By the way, NGO stands for non-governmental organization. They're typically mission-driven organizations, generally in the nonprofit sector. And by the way, a U.S. government funded NGO put me in a report about hate, calling me a male supremacist. I was #2 male supremacist for content creators creating content for men about hating women. And if you go through the data that they accumulated, I mean, I already got videos debunking all of the bullshit that they tried to say. Long story short, they're absolutely liars and they're incentivized by whatever bullshit mission that they just make up within their heads. Usually at first glance, it appears that they're trying to do things, you know, well-intentioned, but when you get down into the nuts and the bolts of how it is that they're either collecting data or utilizing funds, funky things come up. Nevertheless, this is their page, La Strada International. This is the page on human trafficking, and they got some notes here. I actually found a YouTube video as well. Let's see if we can view a little bit just to learn a little bit more. Can you imagine that if they paid her money
in human beings is a gross
before the police report?
People are exploited, violated, and abused in sectors such as
for a trafficked person really getting back the dignity and the recognition of the fact that they lost wages, that they lost health, that they lost livelihood through the process of being exploited and trafficked.
Okay, so they pay trafficked victims.
Compact is an initiative by La Strada International and Anti-Slavery International to bring access to justice and guarantee compensation for trafficked persons. Compact is a coalition of partners in 14 countries, NGOs that provide direct services to trafficked persons and give them shelter and assistance, but also with lawyers, with trade unions, with migrant rights organizations. We all work together to guarantee compensation for trafficked persons.
The right to compensation is there. It is already foreseen by international instruments, by national legislation, and nobody would deny that a victim of a serious crime is entitled to compensation. But the real
if the crime was committed,
does not happen.
It's very clear that has all states have obligation to ensure that at domestic level that it is possible for victims of trafficking to obtain compensation. This is a right. It should be right, and is a right, and it's not a charity, and it's something that states must respect. Is it happening? Of course, it's not happening now.
Compensation is an obligation, is a right for the victim, but first an obligation for the states. It is Article 15, paragraph 4, which makes an obligation to the state parties to the convention to guarantee the compensation of the victims of trafficking.
Okay. So this is actually very interesting. And again, like I said before, like on the surface, this all makes sense, right? You have a trafficked person and you want to give some type of compensation for the harm that they suffered or them being out of job, right? That makes perfect sense. But it seems as though these organizations can apply for funding, right? Receive sponsorship, but there's no look into the individual processes of how things are happening. Because at this stage, I'm either thinking either the girl was a fraud from the beginning and got in touch with this organization in an attempt to get money, claiming that Andrew Tate trafficked her, and then they just initiated the process with little to no evidence, supporting evidence, proof that it actually happened. Or there's some like deep cover shit where there's a secret 007 agent that's like paying people behind closed doors, and the front is this at least at first glance, well-intentioned organization, and they're getting men caught up all over the world, and just one of their last ones or the latest ones was Andrew Tate, paying people to make these allegations to stop certain men from continuing to rise. Say whatever that you want about the Tate brothers. Agree with them, don't agree, love them, hate them. The one thing that we can agree on is that if this is true, this shit ain't right.
Why would you pay somebody before they make a police report $100,000 to combat human trafficking unless you were actually trying to set us up? She then admits that after she took the money, she flew here, made the police report, and after only 3 days in Romania, she was flown to the south of France. The flights, hotels, and budget for her stay there was all paid for by the same NGO.
Yo, that is so crazy. The timing of this is ridiculous. Why would the NGO pay her prior to the police report? How would the NGO already have the funds to set up flights and hotels? How would all of this shit takes time, and it should take evidence. It should take police reports. It should take judges. It should take a lot more than that. But yet again, another example of the government utilizing tax dollars to fund bullshit. They just give the money away, our hard-earned money, for these NGOs to just make shit up. Think about how crazy it is for someone like me to get allegations of like a male supremacist, which is like the cousin of a white supremacist. But I'm not white, so they can't say white supremacist. But how crazy that it is. How they can pick certain people to try to hate. They can pick certain people to try to remove. They can make up shit to take certain people down, or at least try to. But just as Andrew has always said, if he ever ends up dead, he didn't kill himself.
And we have the fucking paperwork.
Man, the level of lawsuit here, if true, actually makes me uncomfortable. Hopefully, they are currently consulting with the best lawyers that their money has access to not only clear their names, but also send a clear message that people shouldn't be fucked with like this. This NGO was funded by the United States Agency for International Development, which again is so damn crazy. And we don't need like a government organization investigating yet another government organization. That's like, you investigate yourself and find that you did no wrongdoing. You know what I mean? Like, it needs to be an outside third party consultant, somebody to get up in there to understand exactly what this is and how it could have gone wrong. What do? They're a U.S. Agency for International Development, is the principal U.S. agency that provides civilian foreign aid and development assistance to countries around the world. Its work focuses on a range of areas, including economic growth, global health, education, humanitarian assistance, and advancing U.S. foreign policy goals. Listen, I'm going to stop the video right here. Guys, you let me know what you think about this update. Did you think that Andrew was innocent, guilty, and whether or not you thought that he was guilty before? Does this introduction of information change your ideas on whether or not he was guilty? Guys, drop me them comments down in the comment box down below. I want you guys to light this up as much as possible. Let's have a fantastic conversation in regards to this, because I think that it's important. Not only Andrew has been affected at a much larger scale than I have, but I was affected by these NGOs as well. It never ceases to amaze me that what some component of society will do in order to keep this information from being talked about, from being spread, they will stop at nothing. That's why it's more important than ever to support the content creators that support you. All right, guys, that's I'm gonna leave this here right now. Leave me your comments down below, and I will see you soon. Until next time, peace.